Shakti. You know, the God gave Moses 10 commandments. Is that true? Huh? Is that true? Yes. If I say it is not, what are you going to throw me out of the class? Now, what we have found out in our discovery in Rome, there are 10 stars, and as their relationship is to the sun, so Moses said, and those are the 10 commandments. I was going to discuss those commandments with you. It would have been a different subject. But in between, Shakti wrote a poem, which I liked very much. Okay? So I'll ask her to read it to you first. And then I'll go on. Our subject today is, I think, lotuses, Kundalini and harmony. Oh my God! Do you know what a good subject that is? But anyway, Shakti, first is very important. It is direct from Rome. And we met the Pope. You see, I tell you something, you must be all very funny, but I tell you how funny a man can be. 10 years ago, you remember, I had this idea. It came to me that Pope should be in a position to collect all religious people and should have a gathering and a prayer for the peace. So I went all the way to Rome, met Pope Paul and discussed this idea with him. Didn't work, but I discussed. Then I met to John Paul II, I met the idea. Twice we met. This time when we met, you know what we were told? It is happening. And this was his theme for India, and this is what he said, and week before I had to meet him, he discussed it in his prayer, he told. And in October, in place where St. Francis was, ICC they call it something like that, right?
St. Francis of Assisi.
Yeah. They are going to have a meeting where first time a Catholic Pope is going to sit with other religious people, like us pagans, quote unquote. You know, it's very funny in the religious world, you should understand. All Christians are Shudras as far as Hindus are concerned. You know Shudra? Untouchable rejects. That's what it is. Who are only supposed to do menial job. Doesn't matter how rich you are. Once you are a Christian, that's it. And everybody in a Catholic church, if you are not a devout Catholic, is a pagan. And we are called pro-non-Christian. It's a very favorable status with them. Pro-non-Christian. I mean, so we are willing to exist, but not worth it. But anyway, I found out that a holy man is that who makes whole into these boundaries. And today I dictated to Narinjan certain correspondence, and I have dedicated myself, the rest of my life I am going to make holes in these holy dimensions which are totally ridiculous. And my theme is going to be that every man of God and every holy man has a time for prayer, for peace. So what I'm going to do when I'm going to teach all the towns and the cities and the countries, which I travel a lot, I'm going to call upon all men of God, of every faith and every dimension and section of it, to come along to pray with me. They like it or not, that's their privilege. And in case somebody will not accept this invitation, I'll go to his house or a door and stand outside and pray and call the entire press to tell that this guy doesn't even want to pray for peace. This is what we're going to do. It's a single man crusade, but we've got to do it and we've got to finish. So what I am trying was, I was going to big deal today, I was going to tell you how the stars were and how Moses figured it out and all that, but Shakti stole the scene, so she made a poem, so I thought it's wonderful if you hear from her. She is divine anyway. So why should I divide the time between me and her? And finally those things came up. My God, Hariya Singh, unbelievable. Well, blessed is Guru Ram Das, who is taking care of himself beyond my efforts. Good, good, good. Come on, Shakti. Let's finish with this.
And
But
then
stick around, today's lecture is very important.
stick around anyway, please. I just can't help it. I like to rhyme things. Then you can correct me where
I am not going to correct you. Go ahead. Why are you so shy about it?
The basis of the Ten Commandments was what I was given, a list of the planets and the commandments. So I took those and then wrote some verses around them. I can't call it poetry, it's just rhymes. And in parentheses it says, "Thus spake the one God on top of Mount Ararat," perhaps. "Children of light, in me you dwell, and for your guidance these 10 commandments I tell. Each planet brings a lesson to warn you, to protect you from suffering and all that can harm you. Their energies combine to serve my planet Earth. Honor them in your lives, for you were granted human birth. You've come to be saints, there's no other reason. Obey my commandments, aught else is high treason. Sun is my symbol, my spirit, golden orb, that brings heat and light for Earth to absorb. Light is my radiance, my consciousness in all. You shall worship me alone, or else you shall fall. Moon is my reflection, the mirror of your mind, that glimpses reality for but an instant and then once again is blind. You shall not bewitch. Misusing this tool, casting spells of enchantment, it's the mind makes man play the fool. Mercury, O planet of splendor, teach my creatures you shall not steal. For everything belongs to me. Why claim possessions that are neither permanent nor real? Venus, O goddess of love, in thy name what crimes of passion exist? Purity, sacrifice with no thought of self, the truth of love no power can resist. Do not pollute her, do not refute her, obey her command. You shall not commit adultery. Mars, let thy war be within thy own being. Conquer your passions and fears. Walk with courage and strength to be humble, even to your peers. Transmute my Mars energy, temper your steel. When the tests come, anger means failure. It's love you must feel. You shall not kill. Jupiter, you shall not bear false witness. Each word is sacred, never misuse it. I cannot permit any creature to abuse it. The law of karma affects everyone the same. Those who break the law have only themselves to blame. To falsely accuse, to slander, demean, denies you my truth. Such words turn your back on me. I open my arms to all creatures, to exalt, expand, and uplift them. I teach them philosophy, religion, noblest thoughts and aspirations, and then let them sift them. Each one is dear, each one is me. Never insult even the lowliest creature you see. Saturn is cold, Saturn is firm. Saturn denies, Saturn demands full term. Saturn protects you from moving too fast. Saturn expects payment of all karma from first day to last. Saturn is the 7th day of rest after creation. Stand still, stand motionless on the platform of levitation. Take time to review your thoughts and your deeds, then offer the results of all actions to me. You shall observe the Sabbath. Uranus, love thy neighbor. Awake, O man, don't you see, he is thine own self in another form. Look inside where all are one, see the one God in all, and your suffering's done. Friendship, compassion, the gift of kindness, break all the old patterns of fear, explode the myths of Maya's hold, and even Saturn can't collect here. Neptune, see clearly through the illusion. I'm the one who gave you birth. Your father and mother were channels for my will to bring you to planet Earth. Worship my divine light in them that also burns in you. Remember, you yourself chose them to enable your soul to do what it has to do. Worship your father and mother. Pluto, love thy God. There is none else, yet you futilely seek elsewhere for the joy all your life. If you want to inherit the heavens and experience joy you can't describe, simply learn to become dead while yet alive. Death is impersonal, it comes to all. Acknowledge Pluto, Lord of the underworld. Recognize his clarion call. Mysterious planet, they say death is your role, but the yogi understands. To be reborn in the light, each one must pay the toll.
You like it? Yes. And they are simply rhymes, huh? Well, the only mystery about it that at that time there were only 7 planets known, and later on there were 9 planets known, but the commandment was 10, and 10 planets were known. And tomorrow, if the planets become 12, then we have to write 2 more commandments. But do you see what religion is? Religion is to bring reality into practice. And what is the test you are religious or not? Well, the test to be religious is to see compassion at the moment when you cannot see it, and to act compassion when it is impossible to act like that. If you can hold yourself, that means you are listening to the call of the divine. Behold, God is everywhere. That's the one and final commandment. And that is where we start. Ik Aonkar. Behold, there is but one God. That's exactly. When we say there is but one God, is a commandment which nobody can refute, but everybody disobeys. This is the test of every life. Now we are talking today, the course is Mind and Mentality and its Reality. This is what we are going to cover. And on that subject is lotuses, Kundalini and harmony. It's very, very important to understand there are 7 lotuses and 1 aura, the 8th. That's human. And the life force which gives you the breath of life, or the prana, is actually the Kundalini, which opens up in you the life. It's a fountain of life. It's like as a flower opens or the lotus opens. It's a continuous process. The Kundalini through Sushumna goes up like a barometer. The mercury goes up and down as the height is. As your elevation is, so is your power in Sushumna is of the Kundalini. That happens to all of you. Our everything, our wish, desire, our possession, our life, our achievements are in proportion to the strength of our Kundalini, how it rises and how it blesses us. But stabilization and the harmony is When the Kundalini energy returns from Sushumna through Idda and Pingala, through the lotuses, charging them and resettling at the navel point, it is the return of the Kundalini energy or the cosmic energy or the pranic energy or the G energy or the Chi energy or the energy. It doesn't matter to me what name you want to give. I don't care from where Moses took the commandments, but all I know is there are 10 commandments. And the funniest part is the Mars, the warlord, the star, and against just with that series, he said, "Thou shalt not kill. Thou should not wear a watch on yourself." Exactly, these lotuses are there. The lotuses give you rhythm, and life gives you harmony. And anything achieved in harmony is the rhythm of myself within myself. My presence is not based on the fact how many students I've got, how much wealth I've got, how many people listen to me, how many people respect me. My entire thing is based on one fact alone: how much I listen to myself, how much I am loved myself, and how much I am sensitive to myself. You know, sometimes people say, well, these 5 senses are no good, they made you nuts. I agree with you. They make you nuts. And you go nuts sometime because of your senses. But do you understand these senses are given gift to you by God? And you know how horrible you will be if you will be insensitive? Is there anybody here who doesn't want to have senses and make some sense out of the senses? Let us, if there is any 10th, 11th star found, make an understand. Thou shalt make sense out of senses. Is that a best 11th commandment? If another star is found and Moses relives, and as human, this 11th sense, to make sense out of your senses, is the only divine principle that you are a human. It's a requirement. It's practical state of mind. And believe me or not, all your troubles come from one thing: you are insensitive to yourself. Funny part of that is I was reading my own notes in which I was drawing the ratio proportion. As the age grows on the cycle of 18 years, our habit to eat more increases by 1/3 of the food we intend to eat. By the age, we should eat after every 18 years 1/3 less the food. 1/3 less the food as our age grows. But exactly, thou shalt not eat 1/3 as per cycle of 18 years. That's how the commandment should be. First commandment should have been there. And that's very divine. Because we eat 1/3 more and digest 1/3 less capacity of changing of the cells. So it means everybody after every 18 years increases possibly to 1/3 overweight. So if your glucose weight is 120 pounds requirement, you will increase in proportion to that weight as the age grows. And to correct that is, you should eat 1/3 less as per age grows. It's a simple rule. It's just like first commandment. Nobody obeys it. Everybody knows it. And we are very insensitive to ourselves. So if we make a first command, thou shalt live by fly weight. You know what is fly weight? Fly weight is weight where your fat in yourself is totally under control. And I was surprised. Guru Gobind Singh was very right when he said, Alapahar, Sulpasi, Nindra, Dya, Chima, Tanpreet. This one line decidingly tells us all. But I think people do not like concentrated form. They like, I see people reading fiction books. Somebody told me fiction books are beautiful. After all, there is no fiction. Fiction is based on reality. And some reality is there before somebody can write fiction. But I said that is agreed, but this thick book, 500 to 2,000 pages, and I was told this is the only way to travel on the plane. Hours of confinement at 36,000 feet and whatever that is, and your belt on, and people go through those pages and pages and pages and pages. So we do imagine. And I said, why to read fiction? Why not to read reality? Somebody say, reality is too direct. Why not to read facts? They are too direct. Fiction is too romantic. People love to romance. Why people romance? That's my question. Romance takes you out of balance, takes you out of base. I don't like it. But why people like it? Because you have come from infinity. Romance can give you mental infinity. Something beyond you. Something beyond you is all reality, but when you do it with the romance, it is very charming, but one thing happens after all. In that romance and in that charm, you lift your feet with it. If your feet can be on the ground, that's why feet are called lotus feet, holy feet. Among the body, the only part which has given the status of lotus, other than your lotuses, and that is only your feet. You understand? Lotus feet of the Guru, lotus feet of the holy man, worship lotus feet, put the lotus feet in your heart. Why feet has been told lotus? Anything where you concentrate, which is a flow of your energy, is called lotus. Because flower lotus is the only flower which is worshipped in the temples. Why? In every flower, this thing which goes to suck the, what do you call that? Bee or those kind of things, they go and take away from nectar, right? But when these things goes to the lotus, lotus closes itself. So, what is a lotus then? Lotus which lotus is a flower which closes upon the sucker. I mean, simple literary English, that's what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Huh? All these little things with the little wings, they go from flower to take what? Nectar. But when it goes to the lotus, what lotus does to it? Closes. Not only keeps the nectar, but the one who steals the nectar. Why we call these chakra lotuses? Because they take the pranic energy and closes on it when it settles backward. Plus they say, lotus live in every mud, very clear of it. Normally we call people, live like lotus. That's why the lotus feet can be on the earth. And our head can be in heavens. We are divine. Thou shalt keep your lotus feet on earth and your lotus head in heavens, and balance it out. So that makes 12 commandments now, right? I think similarly Moses went to the mount and got 2 tablets. I think, did they say 30 threw it away or something? Huh? But these are stories. But anyway, man is in a progressive state of mind today. And one of the greatest achievement of man today is not to be insensitive to its own senses. Sensitivity in reality is a very creative and very original. When I was traveling from Rome to Los Angeles, I was surprised looking around me when people were taking dry gin and vodka, mixing it with water and drinking. And their breath of the liquor when started bothering me. I just looked around the window of the plane and I said, the windows are so strong I can't jump out of it. And if I even try to jump, there's a 33,000 feet down, I won't make it. But I tell you, the pain of that breath of liquor was much worse. Then I became immediately compassionate. I couldn't be compassionate at the time. I was very much in pain with that breath of liquor all around. Then I became over-compassionate. I said, these people do not know how to handle pain and senses. To become insensitive, they are liquoring themselves. What I saw actually is people licking their own joy and living in a creative hell which stunk so bad and created such a stinking atmosphere. And these were upper class, neo-old rich who had not felt the itch to live a life of divinity, and they all lived the life of duality. And I was journeying and we were traveling hour to hour, trying to reach New York. I made up my mind to observe these people. And then I said, wait a minute. In these 9 hours, what I have seen these people going through, by the time we reached New York, everybody was dead asleep. They overate, overdrunk, and then they couldn't even know where they are. Exactly in the scale of life, as we travel, we overeat and overdrink ourselves to death because we have not tried to make a sense out of the senses which God gave us. When Nanak in his 3rd form, as Guru Amar Das, wrote the Anand, the Song of Bliss, the way he makes sense out of this body, its limbs and its parts, and its purpose, and personifies the personality of the human is so beautiful. I really fell in love with it. I hope you all understand, because Anand is written in an Ad. And it has that flavor to it just by chanting and singing it. You can be so exalted. 3 banis which Guru gave us are par excellence. Japji, Anand and Jap Sahib. There's nothing more to it. But in reality, we are here sitting with very passion of life without knowing what compassion is. God gave us passion, and it should have given us the power to create compassion. That's why it's very insensitive not to be compassionate. So one day there was a great discussion, where to draw the line. I was discussing it, and somebody said, "Sir, let me play the devil's," what do they call, advocate? Devil's advocate. I said, "Okay, devil's advocate, let you play," and we play. And we played, and keep on playing. And finally a situation came, well, if we reach a situation where, I say, where what? Where it is impossible to take it anymore. Now repeat with me. Where it is impossible to take it anymore. Where you are sure and very sure, consciously, reasonably, logically, with deep understanding that you cannot take it anymore. Right? Right? That is the point you wish to reach, right? To test your ability, right? To see in you the strength, right? To see in you the grit, right? To see in you the light of God, right? To understand you are human, right? Take it little more. It's that little more which makes you a human. When you cannot take any more by all standards, you take little more, you live in the divine, because divine is in infinity, and that little more makes you to cross that line. And this morning I was discussing, I said, well, there are certain things we gotta do, and sometimes people react to me so badly that I cannot take it anymore. And then I said to myself, I have to really take that reaction little more. I am too good to spoil it. You will have people who don't like you, people who will react to you, people who undermine you, everything. But you have one beautiful thing. You can take little more. And cross that line. Holy is one who makes whole and goes across. Right? Is that right? Is that a good way to look at it? Then why a wife should fight with a husband? Why a beloved should fight with a lover? Why a human should fight with a human? Why countries wage war on each other? Why a nation destroys anything? Why a tribe destroys anybody else? And why passion destroys our compassion? And why we are insensitive to our senses? And why, and why, and why, and why? Think tonight. I know and you know, when somebody leaves dharma, there's nothing for him but to pay the karma. And I was seeing in Natural magazine, National Geography. That's a magazine, very beautiful, yellow color, always standard color, color of divinity, right? I think some yogi designed it. Well, in that magazine, just I picked it up, there was no big deal. This lady has a eel, You know the something which lives at the bottom of the ocean? Huh? Big one. And she goes down there in that reef to feed it, to love it. And she has created an eel as a pet. And I was sitting there and I saw that ugly big thing coming out of that reef. Oh, you know, the eels are not very affectionately, moderately dancing girls. I mean, it is something. But this one is a big one. And it could hug her just to... If this eel sits on this girl, the girl will die surely. But she goes on and rubs her shoulder with it, and because people rub things against soft things. They don't rub things against hard things. Remember that. You love to rub against soft things. It's a very normal thing. Well, I'm telling you something you don't want to hear, but you know what I'm saying. So she goes and rubs her shoulders and hugs her, gives her right down certain, almost it is couple 100 feet down. She goes and feeds it, rubs her, hugs her, and do the whole thing. But whatever she does with that eel, I say, why, what a twin sisters, you know. And if this woman learns from her that she's a human and that's a eel, and to me, there's no difference. Both are rubbing against each other's shoulders. One doesn't have shoulders, one has. One can carry the weight and one can't. But both have the mouth to eat, both have the eyes to see. How many of us, holy sisters, you live in the hole and a pit of nonsense and make no sense to your senses? That's the eel. You live as eels in the human body. Makes no sense. It is not that by putting a lion skin on the donkey, we can make it a donkey. It's not loading all the Bible on the donkey, we can make a donkey a priest. It is not what I see that you are a human will make a human, but you have to act as a human. And the first commandment to be a human is, thou shalt act always compassionate. That's the first test of the human. Moon, thou shalt make sense out of your senses. Which is the third star, Shakti? Mercury. Communication. Thou shalt hold to your word. Because you are nothing but what your word is. If you give your word, or speak your word, or say your word, or tell your word, that's what you are. Your word is divine, whatever you say. So thou shalt hold to your, and that's your Mercury. What else? Venus, the story of love, story of passion. Thy life is compassion from the beginning to the end. And next, Mars the warlord. Thou shalt not kill, right? Right? Is that what the commandment is? Which you don't want to hear? Thou shalt wage war on thy own ego. Next, Jupiter, the Guru. Thou shalt acknowledge life as equal. The highest state of knowledge and courage and victory for a man is to acknowledge peace. The Jupiter, behold, thou shalt live in peace. Jupiter. What is next? Ha ha, the star with rings. Again the Guru, the other side of the coin. Thou shalt arouse passion among the fallen. Thou shalt share your wealth and wisdom. That is Saturn. Uranus, what it does, Shakti? It explodes everything. Awaken everything. Awakening of the Kundalini is always there, a great process. That is Uranus. Thou shalt Can you believe this natural phenomena? Uranus, thou shalt rise to every occasion in the name of the Lord. I can't believe it. What we have experienced is a miracle. So we are all saints. Saints have to create one miracle. You have created it, that's it. What Neptune does? Yeah. The Neptune is very wonderful. It is the lord of what? The ocean, thunderbolt and all that stuff, right? But it rescues everything on the last. That's what it is. Thou shalt not let anybody fall. By your conscious and unconscious act. And thou shalt elevate your own spirit forever. What is the other star, Shakti? Pluto. What Pluto does? Oh, the Pluto does it all. And what did I say in that last line? Right now? I spoke for it.
You spoke about not letting anybody fall?
Yeah. By conscious and unconscious act. And the Pluto says, thou shalt live forever by thy deeds. Each one of you is supposed to do and act conscious enough in life that your body when drops. Okay? You know, we did the same mistake right now with the Challenger. We thought the booster things have no senses. That we should not check on them. They are infallible, right? Right? What they did to us? They let the whole thing explode. We did the same thing which we do in our common life. We feel the body is unfallible. It can't be wrong. We can explode the soul and leave the debris behind. But we think our boosters, the body, our Idda and Pingala are perfect. We don't care the Shushmana, what will happen to it. And we don't care for the lotuses. Lotuses is the living harmony if they are not totally kept to tuned up to their frequency in relationship to the frequency of other lotuses, and a combined force is not unison into the reality of harmony, man is living a painful life. which I'm going to discuss tomorrow. Real, unreal, real. So I hope you will come tomorrow. It's a Mars day. Thou shalt not kill your time in any bad way but to come to the class. Well. Today is Sri Singh Saab's birthday. Sri Saab Singh's birthday. It's the same thing. Soup and cookies will be served after class. Oh, I got those 4 paintings. You see, somebody is very beautiful in New York painting these gurus for us, and he has painted this card, Golden Temple card, which I am going to make a greeting card to put this prayer of mine, which Shakti will read right now. And this prayer was on the end of the Tantra course, which in the course of my discourse. That's what it is? In the course of my discourse in Rome. Of course. Shakti, read that prayer. I want you to share a prayer with me.
Blessings, blessings, and blessings. May your strength be your grace. May your power be your truth. May your excellence be your service. May your position be yourself. May your victory be your radiance. May your representation be God. May your beauty be human. May your now be ever, ever, ever love. May your past be your prayer. May your future be compassion. May all this be you, and you all this. May there be peace to the planet Earth. May you be part of it. May this energy guide you to all the achievement you have desired. May this be true for each one of you. May you become the light of God, and may the hand of God protect you forever. Satnam.
And this is going to the front of that prayer card. I presume this is a handwritten thing and it has been sent to me, so I observe the right to use it legally. And this prayer is going to go with it, under it. And I'm going to send this card as my Baisakhi prayer for... it's good to have Executive Secretary sitting by the side, so keep on giving instructions so things keep moving. However, have you seen the new print I was shown today? No, my first lecture in the United States. The basic concept of a liberated man, which we changed to art and science of liberation, because we don't want the fight between the girls and the boys, the girl and the what they call the kids? Guys. So we changed it. Has somebody else got one copy of it? I can show. In that box there. Red beard, there's a box of you, my son. I got a good son.
Sir, do you tell the history of how that originated?
Oh, Shakti, you should tell the history. I must say that lecture has a history to it. It is a beautiful print, and nobody has it in the class?
They're back at the secretariat.
Oh, they moved? They have legs? Those pamphlets have legs, they walk? Oh, okay. And none in this class has that in possession?
I never even saw it.
And Naranjan, hey, guys in the back. Well, you have some? Oh, good. I know, those things appear through this holy gate. This will be named as a holy gate because these was 2 copies, I think, my personal copies, which were given to me. Rarely they give me a copy, but this time they are very kind, they give me 2. The art and science of don't you please misunderstand what I go through. I've got all the 10 stars around me all the time, moving in a circle, and I have to keep them in balance is really hard. And the science, but I'm liberated. So that's why I think this first lecture in the United States by a man called Yogi Bhajan is beautiful. But I love this picture. It is actually the picture of future reincarnation of Guru Gobind Singh as Rishi Dushdaman. Try to understand. It serves 2 purposes. It is an Hemkund. This picture of Guru Gobind Singh is at Hemkund by the greatest artist in India, and we have printed as front piece. And the art and science of liberation, right?
May I just explain something?
Explain, you read it too. Read. Let it be on record.
Okay.
That you read it. Come on, Shakti.
Okay. You'll all be getting one of these in with my next letter. So everybody will get a copy. But the background of this is really fascinating because when the Siri Singh Sahib was teaching at the Alhambra YMCA, and I drove him out there, it was very early on, but already there was a class of people, and but they had painted the building that night, and we didn't know it, so we drove out there, and by the time we got there, we were a little bit late, and the class waited for him on the steps of the YMCA. And he was, I guess, very touched by their devotion. And he said, well, I'm going to give you something tonight that you're going to make it worth your while that you waited here so patiently. So sitting there on these cement steps.
On these steps and street.
Yeah. So this, and then we just took notes because we didn't have a tape recorder at that time. And from those
We
notes.
didn't have the money to buy the tape recorder.
Well, I didn't want to say. And so anyway, this was the lecture that he gave then, and he said then, after we printed it up, and he said the material in here is so important, and it is such a basis for liberation that he said it should be engraved on steel. But you also said at that time to only give it to those students who were really, really sincere. So I always consider this really, really important. And
Read it.
Yes. Okay. Nice. What is a liberated being, and what is the reason we suffer in the hands of time? Every person has 2 sides. One is a carefree side, and the other is a careless side. When one lives in his carefree side, he is guided by his divine faculty. When he lives in his careless side, he is guided by his animal force. It is not the carelessness of breaking a glass or accidentally throwing away something you meant to keep. Materially, we are considered careless when we are unable to discharge our material responsibilities. But in reality, we are truly careless when we lose our divine personality, when that something which is very precious, beyond value, is lost just for passion. Emotion and passion are the 2 buyers of our spiritual personality. If you analyze this thought, you will realize that such a bargain is too costly. For what are we trading our spiritual self? This world of ours is a transitory phase of life. It is not permanent. But we always associate ourselves with it as if we belong to it and it belongs to us. Subconsciously, behind every action is the desire to be recognized. But if you classify your desire for recognition and the way you try to be recognized, you will find that you want recognition without maturity. You want to be recognized as a mature being, but you have not developed the mature attitude of a carefree being. The only carefree being is that person who is free from negativity. He is liberated. It is a cosmic law that such a person is never short of anything. A carefree man doesn't know any misery. He may be humble, but that doesn't mean he is miserable. Ever wise, he sails through time undisturbed. He does not need any correction at the hands of time. His smooth behavior and calmness of personality are the signs that he is a liberated being. In a nutshell, he is the happiest person ever on the earth. This does not mean that you should be barred from having worldly goods. Matter is media. It cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. Similarly, emotion and involvement in desire are also media, but their satisfaction is temporary, not everlasting. If you understand how the addiction to liquor begins, you will understand this theory of involvement. This is how it works. A man who does not drink comes under pressure and doesn't know what to do. He goes to the house of a friend for consolation. For man is a social animal, and by having someone participate in his grief, he feels relieved. The friend offers whiskey for a soothing effect, and the man is persuaded to take a drink. The alcohol goes into the body and does its chemical action. It soothes the nerves and energizes the energy centers so that the man's attitude relaxes and becomes flexible. It's only a temporary relief, but the memory of that first taste sticks in his mind. He can never ever regain that smoothness of that first taste of liquor. But for the lust of that taste, and in order to recapture that experience, people become habitual drinkers, alcoholics. They believe that the best way to escape from the pressures of life is to continue drinking, and thus drinking becomes a need of the body. Similarly, whenever you involve yourself in any mode of life, you are going into a channel where you will go on and on and on, and you can never come back to the point from which you originally started. When we forget our original basis of action and become involved, we become a slave. It has been seen in our entire concept of life that we are 15% slaves to a routine, to habit. Man must have certain habits without which his life cannot go on, but he can obtain liberation by changing the character of these minimum required habits. There are two kinds of habits: promoting habits and demoting habits. Demoting habits make you unhappy physically, mentally, and spiritually. Promoting habits make you happy physically, mentally, and spiritually. In your life, if you have all the habits which are promoting habits, you will end up as a liberated divine person. If you have demoting habits, you will always end up as a physical wreck, mentally insane, and or spiritually defunct. Habit is a must of your personality and mind. For that period when you are acting under a demoting habit, you are totally in the negative personality. It is also a fact that if you get into any one negative habit, you will automatically attract its 4 sister habits, for they love to stay together. These 5 demoting habits of behavior and attitude are greed, anger, lust, attachment, and negative ego. When one sister enters the house, she calls the others to join. Each habit is supported on 2 tripods: 1, physical, mental, and spiritual, and 2, past, present, and future. There are 2 guiding instincts in man. He is either improving his future or blocking his future improvement. If you are conscious of this and have an honest and sincere urge to improve your future, you will always have promoting habits. O man, if you are to care not even for God, at least care for the future. When you care enough for your future to have promoting habits, you will become a liberated person. A liberated person is always a happy person. He does not lack in any material comfort. He does not know any power on earth which can insult him. He lives in grace in this world, and when he leaves the body, he is respected for generations to follow. Everyone can be like that. Yesterday's greatest sinner can be a saint this minute. The only thing required is a decision. Am I to guard my future and choose to be a liberated person? Or am I to block my future and go by the material, physical aspect of the world? For any person who blocks his future, it is a guaranteed fact he suffers in the future. Any person who takes advantage of the now, causing someone else's loss, blocks his future. Anyone who takes advantage of the now invites trouble from Mr. Future. Maintain a positive attitude with promoting habits for 40 days, and you can change your destiny. This psychological concept of human behavior is a pattern which can guide you to that goal which is described in our scriptures as paradise. In the self, one has to sow the seed of divine vibrations, and with the power of these vibrations, one has to dwell in the ultimate truth, which is a truth, a reality, and an ever-living primal force. This primal force has been named God by Christians, Paramatman by Hindus, and Allah by Muslims. Some name has been given it by all. But the universal consciousness of this universal spirit has one name, that is truth. So we call it Sat, and we remember it as Sat Nam. Sat, in the language of the gods, Sanskrit, means truth. Nam means name. So without dispute, we can say that universal consciousness, that universal spirit, that creative force in us, has a universal